Good evening. Between 2017 and 2020, I had the privilege to build and design UOB's digital bank in Thailand and in Tunisia tomorrow. It was the most complex initiative of my career. We wrote 1 million lines of code at launch, had brought out 500 new features. There were more than 12 streams of concurrent work. And I had been very well prepared for that role, given that I was a computer engineer, wrote C++, did every single product role in retail banking, and ran the consumer banks of Standard Chartered and UOB here. And this is my privilege to share with you my learnings from that journey. The first thing I'm very proud of is the design. There are 3 levels to the design. One is how the baseline, banking should always have been so easy. This is going to be very hard for any of you seated here today because your teams are not interested in detail. And it's all a function of small things put together, so it's all about detail. And you therefore need a very high Net Promoter Score. Secondly, the service must be great, and I'll talk more about that later. And then finally, how do you use data to prevent problems from happening? If you have an account that is not being funded by salary, when you miss that, actually the bank knows if it's a regular debit, but we just let it fail and then charge you money for that. And we can prevent that using data. So this was the design. And there's not enough time to talk about the features, but I'll mention 2 things. You can see that actually the invisible part of banking, the part that's about products, is only 1/3 of the interface. The rest is really an inside feed. And the inside feed is coming from transactional data. The transactional data, therefore, can make every single inside feed different for every single person in this room. Secondly, we made a very dangerous move by funneling every single support call into chat first. And we did that knowing that we would have to escalate to an agent very quickly in the initial days when the chat was really dumb. And it took almost 18 months, and now the chatbot can understand 95% of everything, and Thai, mind you, is a very difficult language. It has no full stop, so you don't know when one sentence begins, another one ends. And in light of that, I think it's a very big accomplishment because most transformations fail. JP Morgan and Royal Bank of Scotland pulled back their digital bank initiatives in less than 12 months. So what are the 5 things that I can share with you about what I learned on this journey? The first one, where to focus your innovation. Customer-centric is very counterintuitive, and you have to lead it from the top. Pivoting is overrated. Mindset problems are probably bigger than your digital problems. And finally, it's going to be very complex, and that complexity will kill you. So holistic is the key to success. Where to focus your innovation? On the vertical axis, is there 1 or 2 big things you can do to change your price performance over price? On the horizontal, is it easy for customers to switch? Now, first, you don't want to be here because there's insufficient value. If you're doing something like what Casper was doing, maybe you can be in breakthrough by moving loans from monthly to daily to hourly. But most of the time, you're going to be here. It's experiential. You're going to have to pull 20, 30 small things together, assemble them in the right order, go through it with a fine-tooth comb, and make sure the performance and the experience is just simply excellent. It's very, very hard to do. I'm not even going to talk about transformational because we can't even do the other 2 well in banking. Now, the second thing is customer-centric is very alien to banks. You are going to have to lead this from the top. Everyone, after building the digital bank, is going to talk about product. And my whole ethos was, if we spend hundreds of millions of dollars, after that we're still competing on product, then really what are we doing? And I refuse to let the team price interest rate at the highest. Because then what are we doing after spending all that money? So it's counterintuitive because it's a leap of faith. We made NPS our biggest target. And I was told that, well, that's a leap of faith because you can't have NPS as line of sight to profit, whereas you can for product. You got to focus outside. Big companies are very internally focused. And you have to make experience number one. Because let's face it, a lot of our innovation in banking is all about rewards and benefits disguised. Pivoting is overrated. I had the good fortune that my group CEO, Yi Chong, told us we are not the first to launch, so take your time to design. Pivoting should not become an excuse for just laziness. And we spent the majority of 2017 doing the design. And the design, as I shared with you, is one of the proudest achievements of tomorrow. Think, then do. Now, if you look at this chart, those of you who think that digital bank is the same as digital banking, you might have another thought about it, right? Because you can clearly see that a digital bank is not about technology. Yes, technology is a very big enabler, but it's fundamentally about very superior and growing superiority in customer experience at more and more lower costs. And if that's the case, can the traditional bank really beat a digital bank that is going to succeed? Possibly not. And this whole mindset around the fact that it's really about experience divided by operating costs is something everyone in your organization have problem with because they're stuck in your previous product success story. Finally, complexity will kill you. It's not really just about digitization, which is making analog digital. It's not just about digitalization, which is making processes automated or semi-automated. It's a lot more. It's about customer, it's about business, it's about IT, it's about design, it's about mindset, it's about people. And so there's really no such thing as digital transformation. It must be holistic. It must be a business transformation. To illustrate that, holistic is really the key lever. And I spend most of my time looking at these four things and how they interact, because they do interact and make things very complicated for you. Customers, business, capabilities, people, and leadership. And there are actually 19 different things that you need to look at. And all these things interacting together, if no one is looking at it, your project is doomed from the beginning. Let me give you an example of how holistic works, right? A very simple example. If I ask you now to build Singapore's tallest building, you don't go and find a builder and say, well, the tallest building is 100 stories, so give me 101 stories. Doors, windows, electricity, toilets, electrical, elevator shaft. You don't do that. So why do we go to technology and say, just start building? No one in the building industry does that. You start with the architect. The architect spends a lot of time with you, understanding how do you want to live, work, and play. Understands your tenants. That's the equivalent of chief designer. Then the civil engineer is the one that makes sure the building can stand. That's the equivalent of process. Finally, of course, you need a good builder. If the architect is good, the engineer is good, but the builder is lousy, you still get a lousy product. But if the architect does a lousy job, the engineer does a lousy job, the builder has no hope. And most of the time, a lot of the CIOs, CTOs in the room, that's what you're thinking. I better run away fast. So one of the things you need to note, right, is that the process piece. The process piece is the one that bridges design to technology, is often very poorly done. Pay attention to that. It will make the difference between success and failure. Now, I'm out of time, so I'll be happy to share with you more after this, at dinner maybe, but you can order a copy of the book and read more about what my team and I did. Thank you very much.
Thank you.